Captain Ju Park stood on the observation deck of the ESS Resilient. She watched as Earth became smaller and smaller, just a tiny blue dot in the vast darkness of space. The Galactic Council had called for humans to appear before them. This was strange because the Council hadn't talked to humans in more than 70 years. "Captain, we're getting close to the jump point," said Commander Daehyun Kim, who was Juwoo's second in command. Juwoo kept looking at Earth, her home, as it disappeared from view. "They've forgotten who we are, Daehyun," she said quietly. "Maybe that's a good thing," he answered. The Resilient was humanity's newest ship for diplomatic missions. It carried a small group of people who would answer the Council's demands. The message from the Council had seemed rude, as if they were talking to an unimportant species. This was odd because humans had fought the Proxima War a generation ago and forced the mighty Council to respect Earth's independence. "Jump in 3, called out the navigator. Juwoo held tight as the stars around them seemed to stretch. The ship moved through the jump point smoothly. Juwoo felt the usual strange feeling in her stomach that came with faster-than-light travel. In the control room, screens showed the new star system they had entered. The massive Council station orbited a gas giant planet, its silver spires reaching out like fingers. "Send the arrival message," Juwoo ordered. "Let them know humanity has answered their call." The communications officer nodded and sent the signal. Almost immediately, they received instructions to dock at a specific port on the station. As the Resilient approached the station, Juwoo called the diplomatic team to the briefing room. Ambassador Yunjin Choi sat at the table with Dr. Hyesu Lee, Earth's expert on alien cultures. Commander Kim joined them, his face serious. "What do we know about the current Council members?" Juwoo asked. Dr. Lee brought up holographic images of 7 alien beings. The Council rotates members every 30 years. None of these representatives were around during the Proxima War. They've only read about us in their histories. That explains the tone of their message, Ambassador Choi said. They don't remember facing us in battle. Juwoo studied the alien faces. Then we need to remind them, without starting another war. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Through the windows, they could see Council security forces waiting. They looked like they were preparing to meet dangerous criminals, not diplomats. "They're scared of us," Commander Kim noted. "Good," Juwoo replied. "Fear can become respect if handled carefully." The delegation prepared to leave the ship. Juwoo wore her formal uniform, with the medals from the Proxima War visible on her chest. Ambassador Choi carried a data tablet with Earth's full history with the Council. Dr. Lee brought translation devices to ensure perfect communication. Before they left the ship, Juwoo gave final instructions to the crew. "If we don't return in 12 hours, or if you lose contact with us, activate Protocol Omega-7. The crew understood. Protocol Omega-7 meant the ship would send a message to Earth and then fight its way out of the system. It was a last resort. The airlock opened. Juwoo led her team onto the station. The air smelled different, cleaner but with strange scents from the various alien species who used the station. A tall blue-skinned alien stepped forward. "I am Coordinator Vasic. You will follow me to your waiting area." Juwoo noticed they weren't being led to the main council chamber, but to a side room where minor species were usually kept. "We request direct access to the council chamber," Ambassador Choi said firmly. "As is our right under the Proxima Accords." The coordinator looked surprised. "The council will decide when and if you are to be received in the main chamber." Juwoo stepped forward. "Perhaps your records are incomplete. Earth is a signatory power to the Proxima Accords. We appear before the council as equals, not as supplicants." The coordinator's skin changed color slightly, a sign of discomfort in their species. "I will consult my superiors." As the coordinator moved away to communicate with someone, Commander Kim whispered, "They're testing us from the moment we arrived." "And we're passing the test," Juwoo replied. She watched as several security officers shifted nervously. They had clearly been told humans were dangerous but manageable. The confident stance of the Earth delegation was making them uncertain. Minutes later, the coordinator returned. "The council will see you now." In the main chamber. Juwu nodded, hiding her satisfaction. This was just the first small victory in what would likely be a difficult diplomatic mission. As they walked through the grand hallways of the station, other alien species moved aside, watching the humans with curious eyes. "Remember," Juwu said quietly to her team, "we're not just representing Earth today. We're reminding the entire galaxy why humanity earned its place among the stars." The massive doors to the council chamber loomed ahead. Whatever waited inside, Juwu knew one thing for certain. The council had forgotten Earth's power. Soon, they would remember. The council chamber was huge. It had high ceilings and tall windows that showed the stars outside. The room was built to make visitors feel small and weak. Juwu and her team walked into this room with their heads held high. 7 different alien beings sat on raised seats, looking down at the humans. None of them looked friendly. Some looked bored, others looked angry. The leader of the council was a tall alien with gray skin and 4 eyes. When this alien spoke, the sound filled the whole room. "Humans of Earth," the council leader said, "you stand accused of illegal territorial expansion and weapons development in violation of Treaty Article 7. Juwu stepped forward. She kept her back straight and her voice calm, though inside she felt surprised by this accusation. "Counselor, with respect, humanity has adhered to every provision of the Proxima Accords," she said firmly. One of the aliens, who had scales and a long neck, hissed at her. "Yet your colonies now extend beyond your permitted zones, and reports indicate your military capabilities have advanced," added another counselor, a blob-like being with many eyes. Juwu looked at Ambassador Yunjin Choi, who stood beside her. They had talked about many possible problems before coming here, but they hadn't expected these false claims. Something was wrong. The council was acting as if the Proxima War had never happened, as if Earth hadn't fought hard to win its freedom among the stars. "We request time to prepare our defense," Ambassador Choi said formally. The High Counselor waved a long, thin hand. "Granted, 3 rotations." The alien's voice was cold. "Until then, your vessel will remain in orbit under observation." As the human delegation was led out of the chamber, Juwu noticed small drones following them. They were being watched. "They're recording everything we do and say," Commander Kim whispered as they walked down the long hallway back to their assigned quarters. "Let them," Juwu replied quietly. "We have nothing to hide." Their quarters were large but plain. As soon as the door closed behind them, Dr. Lee took out a small device and pressed a button. A soft hum filled the room. "Now we can talk," Dr. Lee said. "This blocks their listening devices." Juwu sat down at the table. "What just happened in there?" "Those accusations are completely false." Ambassador Choi paced the room. "They claim we've expanded beyond our allowed space. That's simply not true. Our colonies are exactly where they're permitted to be." "And our weapons?" Commander Kim asked. "Yes, we've improved our defenses, but nothing that breaks the treaty." Dr. Lee pulled up a holographic map of human space. "Look at these boundaries. We're well within our limits." Juwu studied the map. "They're not just wrong. They're lying." "But why?" "I think they're testing us," Dr. Lee said, "or trying to trick us into admitting something." Ambassador Choi nodded. "Or they want an excuse to restrict us further." Juwu stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see their ship, the Resilient, floating in space near the station. Small council ships circled it. "We have 3 days to prepare our defense," she said. "But I think we need to do more than defend. We need to find out what they're really after." "How do we do that?" Commander Kim asked. Juwu turned back to face her team. "First, we act like we believe their accusations are honest mistakes. We'll be polite and cooperative." "Meanwhile," she continued, "I want you, Dr. Lee, to study recent council decisions involving other species. Look for patterns. And Commander, I need you to send a coded message to the Resilient. Tell them to run a full scan of this station and any nearby Council ships. I want to know what they're hiding." Ambassador Choi looked concerned. If they catch us scanning their facilities, it could make things worse. Juwoo smiled slightly. "They won't catch us, and we need to know what we're really dealing with here." That night, as the others slept, Juwoo couldn't rest. She stood by the window, watching the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, and all the human colonies that depended on her team to protect their rights. A soft beep came from her personal communicator. It was a message from the Resilient, heavily encrypted. "Captain," it read, "scans complete. 5 Council warships have left the station. Their course suggests they are heading toward the Newton colony in the Ta CD system." Juwoo's heart beat faster. Newton colony was one of Earth's newest settlements, right on the edge of human space. It was within the allowed zone, but barely. And it had limited defenses. "So that's their game," she whispered to herself. "They accuse us of breaking the treaty while they prepare to attack our colonies." She woke the others and showed them the message. "This changes everything," Ambassador Choi said. "They're not just trying to restrict us. They're preparing for military action." Juwoo's expression hardened. "Then we need to be ready too. When we return to the Council chamber, we won't just defend ourselves. We'll show them exactly who they're dealing with." As dawn broke on the first of their 3 days, Juwoo and her team began preparing not just a defense, but a demonstration of power that would remind the Council why humanity had earned its place among the stars. As morning came on the space station, the human team gathered in their quarters. The room was plain with just a table, some chairs, and a few screens on the walls. Juwoo walked back and forth across the floor. She couldn't sit still. The others were busy looking at data and reports. Dr. Hyasu Lee sat with 3 screens floating in front of her. Her fingers moved quickly as she searched through information about the Council's recent actions. "I think I understand what's happening," Dr. Lee said after a while. "They're testing us. Look at this pattern." She showed the others a list of recent Council meetings with other species. In the last 5 years, the Council has called in representatives from 12 different worlds. Each time, they made claims about treaty violations, and each time, those worlds gave up something: trading rights, territory, or technology. Ambassador Choi frowned. "They're bullying smaller powers." "Exactly," Dr. Lee nodded. "They're systematically reasserting dominance over races they consider weaker." "But why target Earth?" Ambassador Choi wondered. He looked out the window at the stars. After what happened at Proxima, everyone in the room knew what he meant. The Proxima War had been hard fought. Humans had surprised the Council with their determination and clever tactics. In the end, Earth had won the right to govern itself and expand into nearby star systems. "Because they've forgotten," Juwoo said, stopping her pacing. "Or more accurately, this Council has never experienced Earth's resistance firsthand. The representatives who negotiated the accords have all rotated out." She pointed to the images of the Council members on their screen. None of these beings were there during the war. They've only read about it in their records. They didn't see what humans can do when pushed. The room fell silent, as everyone considered this. Then a beeping sound came from a small device on the table. Commander Kim picked it up and pressed his thumb to the scanner. His face became serious as he read the message. "Captain, I've detected unusual activity in the resilience systems. Someone's been trying to access our secure databases." "How?" Juwoo asked. "They're using some kind of remote hacking tool. It's sophisticated. They're specifically targeting our military files, weapons systems, defense capabilities, fleet movements." Juwoo's expression hardened. Her eyes narrowed and her jaw set firmly. "So that's their game. They're not just testing us. They're fishing for information on our capabilities." "Do you think they're planning something against Earth?" Dr. Lee asked. "It seems likely," Commander Kim said. "Why else would they need this information?" And why send warships toward our colonies? Ambassador Choi stood up and straightened his uniform. He was older than the others, with gray in his hair. He had seen the Proxima War as a young diplomat. Then perhaps, Ambassador Choi said slowly, we should remind them. Remind them of what? Dr. Lee asked. Of who we are, Choi replied. Of what humans do when threatened. Ju-woo nodded, a small smile forming on her lips. I think you're right, Ambassador. But how do we do that without starting another war? We show them that we know what they're doing, Commander Kim suggested. We reveal their ships heading toward Newton Colony. That's good, but not enough, Ju said. They'll just deny it or claim it's a routine patrol. Dr. Lee looked up from her screens. What if we could access their systems the way they're trying to access ours? We could find out exactly what they're planning. Can we do that? Choi asked. Their security must be strong. Commander Kim smiled. Actually, while they've been focused on breaking into our systems, I've been mapping theirs. Their network has some interesting vulnerabilities. Ju-woo walked to the window and looked out at their ship. The Resilient wasn't just a diplomatic vessel. It had been built with the lessons of the Proxima War in mind. It carried advanced technology that the Council didn't know about. Here's what we're going to do, she said, turning back to her team. Commander, I want you to prepare a special package for the Council's systems. Not an attack. We're not starting a war. But I want eyes and ears in their command network. Dr. Lee, continue studying their patterns. I want to know everything about how they've been pressuring other species. And Ambassador, she looked at Choi, I want you to prepare a presentation for our defense. Make it respectful, reasonable. Make it look like we're playing along with their game. What will you be doing, Captain? Dr. Lee asked. Ju-woo's smile grew a little wider. I'll be preparing a demonstration. Later that day, as the station's artificial night cycle began, Commander Kim worked silently at his secure terminal. His fingers moved quickly over the controls as he sent carefully coded commands to the Resilient. I'm in, he said finally. I have access to their military communication network. The others gathered around as text began to scroll across his screen. There were orders, reports, and messages, all about Earth and human colonies. Look at this, Dr. Lee pointed. Orders to the warships near Newton Colony. They're supposed to conduct exercises that will just happen to cross into our territory. And here, Ambassador Choi said, pointing to another message, plans to demand that we reduce our colony populations in 3 systems. Ju-woo read through it all, her face growing more determined with each line. When she finished, she looked at her team. Now we know their plan. When we go back to the Council tomorrow, we won't just be defending ourselves. We'll be revealing what we know. Will that be enough? Dr. Lee asked. No, Ju-woo said. Words alone won't convince them. We need to show them our strength, not just tell them about it. She pressed a button on her communicator. Resilient. This is Captain Park. Prepare Operation Mirror. Authorization code. Proxima 739. Operation Mirror. Commander Kim asked. I don't remember that in our mission briefing. Ju-woo smiled. That's because it wasn't in the briefing. It's a special contingency designed for exactly this kind of situation. As the team continued working through the night, preparing for their return to the Council chamber, 5 Council warships moved silently toward Newton Colony, unaware that humans had learned their true intentions. The Council chamber was bright with morning light when the human delegation returned. The 7 Council members sat high on their platform, looking down at the humans with confident expressions. They clearly expected the humans to be afraid and ready to give in to their demands. Instead, Ju-woo led her team into the center of the room with straight backs and calm faces. Ambassador Choi carried a small device in his hand. Commander Kim walked a step behind Ju-woo, watching the Council security forces carefully. Dr. Lee stood ready with her datapad. The High Counselor looked down at them with 4 blinking eyes. Humans of Earth, are you prepared to address the charges against you? Ju-woo nodded. We are prepared, High Counselor. But before we address your accusations, we'd like to share some observations of our own. The council members shifted in their seats. They had not expected this response. First, Ju said clearly, "We must discuss the unauthorized attempts to breach our vessel's security systems, originating from council headquarters." A wave of whispers moved through the watching crowd. Several of the council members looked at each other with surprise. "What is this?" demanded one counselor, the one with scales and a long neck. "You have no proof of such claims." "We have complete proof," Ju replied calmly. She nodded to Dr. Lee, who pressed a button on her datapad. A large holographic display appeared in the air above them. It showed detailed records of hacking attempts against the Resilience computer systems. Each attempt was time-stamped and traced back to its source, the Council's main computer network. Second, Ju continued, as the murmurs in the room grew louder, "We've documented 17 violations of our territorial sovereignty by Council vessels in the past year alone." The display changed to show a map of human space. Red dots appeared, showing where Council ships had crossed into Earth territory without permission. Each dot had a date and the name of the Council ship that had made the violation. The Council members began to look uncomfortable. The High Counselor's gray skin turned a shade darker, a sign of anger or worry. Third, Ju said, her voice dropping to a dangerous calm, "We've noted the Council's recent pattern of intimidating smaller powers into conceding their treaty rights." Now the display showed a list of species and planets that had recently appeared before the Council. Beside each name was a summary of what they had lost after meeting with the Council. "These accusations began the High Counselor, rising from his seat. Ju raised her hand. The simple gesture was so confident that the High Counselor stopped speaking. "Not accusations, facts," Ju said firmly. "And here's another fact. While you've been detaining us here, 5 Council warships have moved to positions near Earth's colonies." The display changed again to show 5 large Council warships approaching the Newton colony. The images were clear and recent. The Council chamber fell completely silent. Even the watchers in the gallery stopped whispering. The Council members looked at each other with alarm. They had not expected humans to know about these ships. "Those ships will find that our defensive capabilities aren't quite what your intelligence suggests," Ju added, nodding to Commander Kim. Commander Kim touched a small device on his wrist. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights in the chamber flickered. The Council's emergency communication system activated by itself. A large screen on the wall lit up, showing a message no one had sent. The message was from the commander of the Council fleet near Newton Colony. His face looked worried as he reported, "All systems down. Ships drifting. No propulsion. No weapons. No communications except for emergency channel. Unknown energy pulse hit all vessels simultaneously. Request immediate assistance." The Council members stood up in shock. Security forces moved forward, hands on their weapons. "What have you done?" demanded the High Counselor, voice shaking with anger. Ju remained calm. "All 5 vessels have been temporarily disabled," she explained. "Their crews are unharmed, but their ships will require assistance." "This is an act of war," shouted another counselor. "No," Ju replied. "This is a demonstration. If we wanted war, those ships would be destroyed, not simply disabled." She stepped forward, looking up at the Council. "We placed defensive satellites around all our colonies after the Proxima War. These satellites can detect and disable any hostile ship that enters our space. The technology has been there for years, but we've never had to use it until now." "Why are you telling us this?" asked a counselor who had been quiet until now. "You're revealing your defensive secrets." Ju smiled slightly. "Because this isn't a secret. It's just one small part of our defense network. We're showing you this to help you understand something important. Humanity is not weak. We are not a species you can bully or trick." She turned to look at everyone in the room. "We do not want war. We have never wanted war. But we will defend ourselves, our colonies, and our rights under the Proxima Accords. The council members looked at each other, unsure what to do next. The High Counselor slowly sat back down. The ships will remain disabled for 6 hours, Commander Kim added. After that, they will regain full function and can return home. No harm will come to the crews. What do you want? The High Counselor finally asked, voice much less confident than before. We want what we've always wanted, Ju replied. Peace, respect, and honest dealings between our peoples. In a tense council chamber, Ambassador Choi stood her ground against angry alien representatives. The room crackled with tension as she declared humanity's unwavering independence. Memories of the Proxima War flickered on holographic displays, showing how humans had once fought for their survival against overwhelming alien forces. Ju, the diplomatic strategist, spoke with quiet but fierce determination. She reminded the council that humanity had not begged for a place among them, but had fought and earned their freedom through blood and courage. Her words were a powerful reminder of human resilience and spirit. The eldest council member, a veteran of past conflicts, listened carefully. Decades of diplomatic experience etched deep lines on his alien features. He remembered the lessons of the past, how humanity had proven itself not through brute force, but through intelligent strategy and unwavering courage. When Ju challenged the council to recognize humanity as equals, a profound silence filled the chamber. Her message was clear. Humans would seek friendship, but they would never again be pushed around or treated as inferior beings. 3 days later, the human ship Resilient departed with a new diplomatic agreement. The council had been humbled, forced to acknowledge the strength and determination of the human species. As Earth came into view on the ship's screens, Ju reflected on the power of memory and historical understanding. To her crew, she shared a simple but profound observation. Sometimes, remembering past struggles is the most powerful diplomatic tool of all. Humanity had shown that they were not just survivors, but diplomats capable of turning potential conflict into mutual understanding. The journey home represented more than just a successful mission. It was a testament to human spirit, a reminder that respect could be earned through patience, intelligence, and an unwavering commitment to principles of equality and justice.